Today is April 22nd, 2019. Could I have a roll call, please?
Missouri? Here. Hazel?
Here.
Whalen? Capros?
Here.
Meyer?
Here.
Strauss?
Here. We had the minutes of April 8th, 2019. Are there any changes or corrections? Now, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second to the motion. Any questions? Roll call.
Missouri? Yes. Hazel?
Yes.
Capros?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Strauss?
Yes.
Clerk's report.
Only report I have is total tax income received since March 25th is $159,795.96. That's it.
Thinking anyone from the audience wish to address the board? Okay, with that, Finance and Administration Committee, Trustee Beecher.
All right, public hearing proposed budget for fiscal year 2019-2020. A motion is needed to open and close the public hearing. The administrator will make a formal budget presentation following by asking the public for comments.
Is there a motion for a public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Any questions? Roll call.
Strauss?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Capros?
Yes.
Hazel?
Yes.
Missouri? Yes.
Okay. The budget process actually starts in the fall with the production of the 5-year financial plan, which is our policy document looking at revenues and expenses for the next 5 years. After that plan is in draft form, we usually don't adopt it until February, but after it's in draft form, then the department heads submit their requests in January, and then I make final revenue projections to present to the village president. The first draft of the budget comes out in February. The village president administrator then work on a second draft, which is then given to the finance committee in mid-February. This year the finance committee requested that the entire board review the budget in a workshop session, and that meeting was held on Monday, March 11th as a village board workshop. The third draft of the budget then went to the village board for a meeting in the first meeting of April. Any final amendments prior to this public hearing were then made. There were none this year. The budget then goes to a fourth draft for public hearing, which is where we are tonight. The budget can still be amended, tabled, or approved as a result of tonight's meeting. This budget and the message has been on the village's website since April 17th, and due notice has been published of this hearing in the newspaper. Major items in this year's budget. Here are the highlights. This is this eighth year of the 0% property tax levy increase for operations. The bond levy will also stabilize around $86,000 per year, which means that the village tax rates for residents should finally begin to decline. No new sources of revenue for the general fund, but several revenue items have been growing slowly, including the sales tax and use tax, video gaming tax, and cable franchise fees. Some revenues that have seen a decline include police fines, personal property replacement tax, and the telecommunications tax. Without some revenue growth, budgeting would have been much more difficult this year. This year, the collective bargaining agreements for public works and clerical called for a 2.5% wage increase. The police union wage increase was 3% this year. It's the first year of a 4-year program. Department heads and administrators were budgeted a 2.5% increase. The PPO health insurance rates increased by 3.9% this year. IMRF pension employer contributions dropped to 7.61% for all employees compared to 10.77% last year. So what we gained in the loss of pension contributions, we ended up paying in health insurance. We plan on hiring a new school resource officer beginning in May, and the funding for this position will come primarily from reimbursements from the school district. Approximately 70%, the other 30% will be funded by the village. A new full-time public works employee position is funded. This position is funded to bring the public works department back up to full personnel where they were about 4 years ago. And the position of office manager was moved from the water department to administration in the general fund, and a corresponding amount of utility tax was taken from the water and sewer debt fund to cover that transfer. 2 new vehicles are planned for purchase this year, village-wide. 2019 Ford SUV replacing a 2011 Ford Crown Vic, and a mini excavator for the Public Works Department, which is a new piece of equipment. We plan to replace all of the electrical lines for our snowflakes along Dixie Highway this year. Once ComEd's pole replacement program is completed, and the flowers, there will be no flowers on Route 1 again this year. There will only be in the old downtown area because this project out here is still not done. We plan to replace $25,000 in sidewalks and $25,000 in damaged curbs in the coming year. And we'll also spend $5,000 on mud jacking, sinking sidewalks, primarily where they meet the curb. $52,000 is budgeted for the replacement of all thermoplastic striping on village streets. That striping should last another 5 years. The last striping did last 5 years. And $36,000 is also budgeted for the patching of some of our more poor street sections in town. The design of the Penfield Street and bridge replacement project will continue for this year. The project will be ready for bid in 2020, but we will have to wait for all of the state and federal approvals. We plan to bid out this project in the summer of 2020. We're also planning to replace the water main on Gould Street from Miller to Indiana and the 2 crossings under the railroad tracks east of Gould Street. This project was not put in the current budget because we don't have an exact cost of what that will be, but the Public Works Committee will meet once those bids are open in May and make a recommendation or decision to the board, and we'll probably cover that with a supplemental appropriation if we decide to proceed later in the fiscal year. We will hopefully complete our SCADA upgrade this year, with $31,000 being spent to relocate the water server to the Public Works garage. So there will be separate systems for both the water and the sewer. So we'll have a computer running the water plant and a computer running the sewer plant. Right now, both are being run by one computer, and you have multiple operators on the unit. This way we can split that function. We are going to turn and test 1/3 of the water valves in the system again this year. Each year we do 1/3 of our system. $41,612 was budgeted for the replacement of 143 residential meters. We had installed 130 meters last year. $10,000 for power washing and internal inspection of the elevated tank on Gould Street. $10,000 for the completion of a GIS mapping project of the water system. So the water system will be accessible to our water operator and our superintendent on their phones. $96,000 in village funds for the local share of the upfront cost of the wastewater treatment plant, which includes an extended warranty on the equipment down there from 1 year to 3 years. Repairs to the shafts on the orbital system, and an inventory of replacement parts for all the new equipment. The EPA did not fund those items, but we thought they were very important to have. So we're gonna go ahead and budget for those items this summer. Railroad Quiet Zone is again funded at $100,000 in the general fund. This work is being financed with a loan from the Water and Sewer Debt Fund. It was set up that way this year, but the general fund did not take that loan, so we pushed that into next fiscal year as that project continues. You may hear an update on that later tonight. $4,500 to replace the main server in the Village Hall, which holds all of our vital records and allows for village staff to share in the village's integrated files. I believe we finished that project already. Is that correct, Jeanette? That's done. $3,900 for painting the depot on Reed Street, and $5,200 for replacing the doors on the stage in Fireman's Park, and we're going to paint the pedestrian bridge on Miller Street. $63,100 in general fund reserves will also be used to complete the building rehab at 533 Reed for the storage of the EMA, police, and public works equipment. And of course, the wastewater treatment plant project continues. It's budgeted at $10 million. We did not know exactly how far along we would be in that project. Right now, we're about $4.6 million into that project. That is being funded by a 30-year loan from the IEPA at 1.12%. The village is generating sufficient revenue at this time to pay for those debt charges. That money is coming from a half-point sales tax, pledged to sewer plant debt, and a utility tax to pay off this loan, in addition to the debt charge that's being paid on the sewer bill. And that debt charge has remained consistent since 1997. At the time the budget was prepared, we did not know how far we would be. I just explained that, but here it's written again. We're about $4.6 million in. Almost done. How is this going to affect village residents? The water, sewer, and refuse rate will increase this coming year, and it's programmed to do so every year. And that's going to cost the resident an average of $22.80 more this coming year. The property tax levy for the village for operations and debt remains relatively unchanged. The end result will be a lower property tax rate for village residents, equal almost to the amount of increase in the water, sewer, and refuse. So it's very safe to say it shouldn't cost you any more to live in the village of Beecher for your village government this year than it did last year. Overall fund balances of the village's major funds will drop significantly in the coming year, and this is due to the village paying off outstanding debt. We're planning on paying off $350,000 balance of the loan from the 2002 water tank and booster station project. The general fund balance should drop by about $63,000 due to the 533 Reed Street project, and the village is anticipated to have about $1.9 million in total reserves at the end of this coming fiscal year. But this could change if we decide what to do about Wood Street water main. There is no indication that the state of Illinois will be taking any of our local revenues this year, and this budget reflects that assumption. At this time, we do not know how the state's budget will turn out, or if there is going to be a capital bill. We're going to have to wait and see. We did not make any assumptions based on what's going on in Springfield. This year's budget is balanced, and no reserves are required for any of our operations to make that happen. Mr. President, this is a proposed budget for fiscal year 2019 to 2020. Mr. Chairman, excuse me.
Okay, resolution?
Any comments from the audience? Ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. Any questions? Roll call.
Missouri?
Yes.
Basil?
Yes.
Caprows?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Kraus?
Yes.
2019-05.
I'd like to make a resolution number 2019-05 adopting the budget for fiscal year 2019-2020.
Motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. Any questions on the motion? Roll call.
Kraus?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Caprows?
Yes.
Basil?
Yes.
Missouri?
Yes.
Consider ordinance of appropriation of the village funds equal to the adopted budget resolution. The appropriation is the same value as the adopted budget. Many communities adopt an appropriation which exceeds the budget, but we do not do that. This is in order to control spending and make more precise budgetary decisions. If we go over, we have to adopt a supplemental. Such in the case in the current fiscal year, we will likely be next year too, if we approve a water main replacement project. But at this time, we are prepared to approve and file the appropriations with the county. So I'd like to make ordinance
1306.
I'd like to make ordinance 1306 of appropriations of the village funds equal to the adopted budget resolution.
Motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. Any questions on the motion? Roll call.
Missouri?
Yes.
Basil?
Yes.
Caprows?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Kraus?
Yes. Consider a resolution appropriating motor fuel tax funds for fiscal year 2019 and 2020. This resolution reflects the adopted budget, but needs to be passed separately. Resolution
Should be 1307. Am I correct, Jeanette?
No, 6.
13.
I'm really confused.
Yeah.
This is a resolution.
Resolution
This is a resolution, 2019-06.
2019-06.
That too.
All right, I'd like to make a resolution 2019-06 appropriating motor fuel tax funds for fiscal year 2019-2020.
Motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. Any questions? Roll call.
Kraus?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Caprows?
Yes.
Basil?
Yes.
Missouri?
Yes.
Consider a supplemental appropriations ordinance for fiscal year 2018-2019. This ordinance will appropriate funds for the leaf machine and the purchase of 533 Reed at the total sum of $107,000 in the new appropriations. Ordinance number, I should figure that one out, right? 1307. Okay, I'd like to make a ordinance number 1307, supplemental appropriations, ordinance number 1307 for fiscal year 2018 and 2019.
Motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a second, any questions? Roll call.
Missouri,
Yes.
Basil,
Yes.
LaBrus,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
Consider a resolution authorizing line item transfers in the fiscal year 2018-2019 budget. These line items transfers cover the purchases made with the supplemental appropriations and also to cover overages experienced in police department part-time and overtime. This resolution will bring all of the line items closer to balance. So, 2019-07, I think?
No, no,
Okay, I got it now, boy.
I'll just make one comment. I don't know if I had enough to cover the overages in the police, but this gets it a lot closer. That's all I can say, because we don't, till we close the books, I don't know where we're gonna be.
So you have to do one at the end then?
We'll just go over, we're not gonna go over on the total general fund, so it's not a violation of any law, but I just don't know where we're gonna be at the end.
It would be a mark on our audit.
Yeah,
It's supplemental.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
We don't need a supplemental, because we'll have enough in the total fund
Balance.
appropriation to do it, yeah.
Okay.
But you'll be going over.
All right, I'd like to make resolution number 2019-07 authorizing the line item transfers in the fiscal year 2018 and 2019 budget.
Motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a second, any questions? Roll call.
Kraus,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
LaBrus,
Yes.
Basil,
Yes.
Missouri,
Yes.
Okay, the committee met and discussed the investment strategies. This was brought up at the budget workshop, and the committee will be investigating alternatives to a long-term investing. An update will be provided. We met with Marcy and I and the treasurer, and we have some ideas, and we've taken some information out to different banks. We haven't really gotten anything back yet. Hopefully we'll have information by the next meeting where we're at. All right, consider a reciprocal agreement with the Illinois Department of Revenue pertaining to access to the tax portal for confidential information. Since specific sales information is included in the tax report provided by the payees, the village needs security clearance to obtain this specific information. The village has a sales tax agreement in effect, but the state now wants to add telecommunication taxes to the portal, requiring this second agreement and letter. Staff recommends motion be approved and see enclosed material. Basically, you're adding the security, and they need to be able to access this, and they need this security clearance. So, is this a motion?
This is.
I'd like to make a motion, receptacle agreement with the Illinois Department of Revenue pertaining to access to the tax portal for confidential information.
Motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a second, any questions? Roll call.
Missouri,
Yes.
Basil,
Yes.
LaBrus,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
That ends my report.
Thank you. Public Buildings, Properties, Parks and Recreation, trustee Kraus.
Top lot update, done, Matt? Correct.
Complete, yep,
Lions Park, same thing?
same thing, yep, complete.
And then, you want an update on the Reed Street building?
Building's been completely gutted. We've actually already had the heat company in there and hung their heaters in the rafters and whatnot, so the project's getting underway.
We had a little scared with the natural gas, because the gas company told us there was no gas service to that property. But we knew somebody in town, huh? We knew somebody in town to check it, yeah, sure enough, we got gas at that spot.
Yeah.
That is my report.
Thank you. Just for point of information, I was at the park working on something today, and a lot of people usually do new top lots, so once again, thanks all who contributed to that project. Pretty proud of it. Planning, Building, and Zoning Committee, trustee Reserve.
The building department monthly report is enclosed for your review. The results of the April 18th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting and comprehensive land use plan update. The PZC met last Thursday night, and Bob, if you can update, I wasn't there during meetings.
They approved the Prairie Park subdivision replat from the towns as single family. And went through the comprehensive plan. They talked about the proposed senior housing project chapter, the industrial, George?
You're doing fine,
The
bud.
industrial park,
Right.
the senior housing, and some new data that they.
Yeah, that's some age data, and they were lacking a few, senior statistics. As to how many seniors had in the village, they were showing, new seniors coming in, but that's pretty much all Beecher Manor residents. So we're more concerned about, how old is our population, as we try to determine what kind of needs we have for senior housing. So, I think, we're supposed to get a report in a couple of weeks.
Yes, there was.
Draft of the plan.
Yeah, they are running a few weeks behind. It has to do also with the CMAP review. They can't publicly release any documents until CMAP reviews and approves them. So, because CMAP's paying the bill, of course. So, it's delayed this whole process. So we decided that we're not gonna go to hearing on this on May 30th. We're instead gonna have a workshop to look at the final draft. And then the hearing would be June 27th. The village board would get it in July to vote on it. Because we just, the PZC will not go to hearing until they approve that draft.
Yeah, we need time to review it, it's a quick draft, and, we weren't gonna get it 2 days before a meeting and then vote on it, doesn't make any sense.
So that's the schedule. May 30th, another workshop, hearing on June 27th, and village board will vote on it probably July 10th, I think is the date, somewhere in there. If the PZC needs to hold additional meetings between May 30th and June 27th, they will.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
The Public Safety Committee, Trustee Krause.
Thank you. Police Department, EMA, and code monthly reports are enclosed for your review. Number 4, I do not need closed session. During our SRO interviews, there was a candidate that we were going to consider for full-time employment, but just say the background, something came up in the background, so that is no longer a consideration, so we are not going to go any further with that candidate. We did have 11 candidates for SRO. We're vetting them now, correct?
Correct.
Doing the background due diligence on that, and we have a final name, and we'll bring it to the board.
I have a question. We don't meet again until May 13th. Would you like to ask the board for permission to hire the next guy up? So we can keep the ball rolling, or do you want to wait till May 13th?
Provided a background is accurate.
Yeah, you guys.
We need to do
can
that,
approve
even though everything's been approved with the budget-wise?
it. You can approve it subject to background. Because our rule is you gotta bring the name to the board for approval.
Background's done.
Okay.
I would suggest you recommend the name in closed session, talk about it, and then get it approved, then we might save a week or two, that's the only reason.
Okay, I'll do that. Save that till the end of that closed session. And then April 19th, they had the field exercise over at the high school active shooter. Chief, you wanna go on that one?
Yeah, I'd just like to, first off, I'd like to thank everybody. You know, a lot of the village people did participate. George was our PIO. I know a lot of people from the village were setting up the EOC here. We actually had the mayor and Bob Barber on scene from the very check-in and then to run the EOC. I don't want to forget anybody here. Matt in Public Works was there.
Is it true that Frank had a knife sticking out of his neck?
I had pictures of them, but you know.
He died 4 times.
That was the only time I lived with a knife in my neck.
You let them take you out, Frank?
So
Two heart
overall, it went very well. There was no real injuries, which is a plus. There was, 5 different police departments, about the same for fire and police, about the same. The drill started off with a rapid response or an active shooter. It was broken down into units. Second unit was actually the RTF, where we had cutouts with injuries, but we also had a lot of role players, which made it nice. Lesson learned. There's always something to go wrong, but basically these situations are very chaotic, and it's just how you control it. And I thought the guys really did a great job.
RTF is what?
Is Rescue Task Force. That's what we've been practicing with. We've been breaking down for the last 4 months into units, working with the fire department, and basically they came up with RTF. If you guys remember In the day, they taught police officers to wait till you had 4 people, you would go in as a diamond. They did away with that because in the meantime, people are bleeding out. So the quicker we can get the fire department to the injured, the better. So they came up with rescue task force, which means we create a safe zone for them and bring them in with us, or a corridor, so that's where we're at. But overall, great training.
There had to be several hundred people
Oh,
participating in this thing.
yeah, easily. It was a great turnout, great turnout.
Thank you. Public Works Committee, trustee Perverse.
Water department monthly reports are enclosed along with the sewer department monthly reports. Gould Street water main design update.
Yeah, we've made some minor changes, but our final draft should be coming to us here shortly.
Yeah, I have some good news on that. We were ready to go to bid on May 7th, but the railroad stopped us. The railroad has some issues and we're trying to work through those. They want a flagger on site, they want insurance, they want permits, and they will treat each underpass of the railroad as a separate job. We wanted one permit for everything because we want to bid it out that way, but they want a separate permit for each. So it's taking a long time for us to get the railroad sign off on the project.
Well, it was still gonna
Everything
be,
else is done.
but it was still gonna be bid as
Two separate projects, right,
Yeah.
correct. We were trying to save some money by using one permit, and the permit's good for 2 years.
Okay.
But we have to split it, we're going to split it, which doubles all our fees to the railroad. But it's a nightmare to get them to review and approve stuff. As we know with the quiet zone.
Always good news.
Yeah.
The wastewater treatment plant, project update, anything new other than the 1.8 million we had to pay out last month? No, we're working on the next bill?
Work in progress.
Good. Means progress. Update on the village exterior and street lighting retrofit project.
Well, as you can see in here, it's a little dim. This project has been a nightmare from the very beginning, but we're slowly wrapping things up. Nantucket Cove is 100% complete. We finished that up today with some photo eyes and whatnot, so it's a slow process, but we're getting there.
We saved the old bulbs too, John, in case we need
Yeah.
them. These even buzz, you notice?
Yeah.
They're not quiet.
Parkway tree planting update.
They were supposed to be here today, and they ended up doing 13 trees last week, so the project's complete.
Done.
Yeah.
2019 street sweeping program being scheduled. I'm
It's-
gonna
It started today.
do days again.
Yeah.
That works out better than
Yep.
doing it at night.
Yep.
Less complaints.
Yep.
How long is that gonna take?
We have to have the machine returned on Friday. So.
Okay, so just over this week.
Yeah.
Consider a proposal using Suburban Purchasing Co-op pricing to stripe and thermoplastic, or to strip and thermoplastic stripe all the village streets, with the exception of Penfield from Dixie to Reed. Superior Road striping in the amount of $33,659.21. This is assuming that all the measurements we have on the striping are correct. We may be 10% plus or minus. 52,000 was what we had budgeted for this, so we're way under. So I'll go ahead and make a motion to accept the proposal from Superior Road Striping in the amount of $33,659.21 to strip and thermoplastic stripe all the village streets with the exception of Penfield from Dixie to Reed.
Motion on the floor, is there a second? Second. There's a second, any questions on the motion? Roll call.
Price,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
LaBrus.
Yes.
Basil,
Yes.
Missouri.
Yes.
Consider a bid for the purchase of a mini excavator, West Side Tractor Sales in the amount of $49,344.46. These were not sealed bids, but proposals from different units under the National Joint Purchasing Agreement, of which we're a member. We did get proposals from DeYoung and West Side Tractor using the National Joint Purchasing Agreement. After testing out the equipment, looking at all the options being offered, this is what the superintendent's recommending. They recommend a bid to West Side. So Equipment was budgeted for 52,000 also. So we will go ahead and, I'll go ahead and make a motion to accept the bid, for the purchase of a mini excavator to West Side Tractor Sales in the amount of $49,344.46.
Motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a second to the motion, any questions? Roll call.
Missouri?
Yes.
Basil?
Yes.
Gross?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Rouse?
Yes.
No other questions, that concludes my report.
Economic Development Community Relations Committee, trustee Meyer.
The TIF district creation update, the project is now in full swing. The creation and first meeting of the TIF Joint Review Board is scheduled during our intergovernmental meeting next Monday, April 29th. The public hearing on the TIF district is scheduled before this board on Monday, May 13th. Formal consideration of the TIF district by village board is scheduled for Monday, June 10th. Excuse me. And then the TIF gets filed with the county clerk and recorder. And so far, everything is on target.
We mailed out over 500 letters on Thursday. They should have received them Saturday. We
I
have
got
not-
one today.
You did. We have not heard from anybody, because we thought an onslaught of calls would come in, we haven't heard. Did you get one, Todd?
Today.
You got one today?
Yeah, I got mine today.
Calls will come tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yep.
You ready? What time you guys open?
How many lines do you have?
5 voicemails sitting there waiting for you for tomorrow morning already.
Sesquicentennial update. So far, we have 14,500 committed in ads for the book, so the book is paid for. And the committee also met to discuss the events last Thursday. We were kind of discussing, we've been talking about doing sort of a taste of Beecher or something on that same weekend that we were gonna do the Lions Club beef roast, and we thought better of that. There was always a concern about having too many food events on one weekend. I think that weekend the Ambets is having a fish fry, and people are only gonna go out so many times and spend so much money on food in one weekend. So it looks like we're going to stretch it to the prior weekend, and we're gonna do a Gould Street event with a disc jockey and maybe food and drinks and that sort of thing the weekend before, and then still do the Lions Club with the main sesquicentennial the following week. So that's kind of the plan we're working on at the moment. We've still gotta talk to the bars down there and, some of the restaurants in town, if anybody's interested in putting up a booth down there. But that way it'll give you 2 Saturdays to be able to do something and spread it out a little bit, make it sort of a sesquicentennial week. We haven't gotten any quotes back yet. We were looking into maybe a laser light show rather than fireworks. The fireworks were pretty pricey for a small ground level show. So we're looking at possibly laser lights, but we don't have any quotes back on that yet. And that's where we are at the moment. Spring newsletter should be in the mail prior to the meeting. This was the largest newsletter ever produced by the village due to the number of topics to cover, the sale of ads, and then the water system notice that has to be mailed to each resident.
It is scheduled to be mailed tomorrow. There was a little bit of delay because of the size of it, and it's supposed to be delivered to the post office tomorrow, so it should go out then.
They're gonna love us after this week, aren't they, the post office?
It's no different for them, it's just one,
It's just mail.
one thing.
All the letters and now all the newsletters.
Yeah.
Just keeping them in business.
Website update.
The website, there's still little tweaks we have to do. The newsletters have been uploaded finally on that. I had missed that hadn't been done. If you see anything missing or that's not connecting, if you go to the site, please let me know. Donna and I still need to do some tweaks, like on the home page, to make it look more enticing, add some images and things like that. But we've just kind of been overloaded with adding the new server and doing the website, and we're switching over our village email and doing just a lot of different things. So we're just kind of putting on what's required, but we're gonna pretty it up in the next few months when we get some time to do it. But it's working very well. I'm planning on adding a spot on the website where you can subscribe to like an email newsletter. You could sign up for dog tags, emails, which we do already. That would go right through MailChimp, which is where we send out emails to remind people about the dog tags anyway. So we wanna allow residents to subscribe to us so that we can send out, different notifications that way too.
I like the fact that there's easier mobile access. The
Yes.
prior website, no matter which phone I had, it wouldn't load, the calendar would pop up over the top of anything else you wanted to see.
Yeah, this is a very up-to-date site, it's called a WordPress format, and it's what most websites are running off of now. They're friendly, they're mobile friendly, and, so there's a lot of different things you can do to enhance them. We're working on learning the new system, because it's a lot different than the old one, that's where we're kind of stumbling a little bit, we gotta do some training.
Yeah, it looks good. Consider a bid award, the 2019 4th of July raffle car. There's information in your packet showing the bids that were received by 4th of July Commission. They received and opened 6 bids, and the results are enclosed for your review. We met on April 17th and recommended to the village board that the bid be awarded to the lowest bidder, which was Drawley Chevrolet of Peatone, for a 2019 Camaro LS Coupe in the amount of $24,195. It's blue. I'd like to enter a motion to accept the bid award for the 2019 4th of July raffle car to Drawley Chevrolet and Peatone for a 2019 Camaro LS Coupe in the amount of $24,195.
Is there a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a second, any questions? Roll call.
Kraus?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Caprows?
Yes.
Basil?
Yes.
Mazurik?
Yes.
And just one little thing that was not on my subject, we were talking about the active shooter. Our Facebook page, that was our highest reach of anything in the last 28 days. That posting about the active shooter training reached 8,700 people, and there were 2,100 engagements of people clicking on it. But the second highest was the Tot Lot, that was 3,000.
And we didn't get a single phone call in the village hall about that event, which really surprised me.
Yeah. But that concludes my report.
Thank you. Legislative update, I really don't have anything. We may know more next week as Jeff, Bob, and I travel to Springfield again. Item number 2, I would like to entertain a motion, if someone do so, to appoint John Kaporis to the TIF board, Joint Review Board,
As a village rep.
as a village rep.
So moved.
The motion made, is there a second?
Second.
There's many seconds. Any questions? Roll call.
Mazurik?
Yes.
Basil?
Yes.
Caprows?
Abstain.
Meyer?
Yes.
Kraus?
Yes.
And my opinion, not only was it an obvious appointment to make, but John did step up to the plate, call me, and volunteered to be on that board, which I appreciate. Quiet zone. Believe it or not, last Thursday, we had a conference call with everybody concerned with the Railroad Commerce Commission and everybody else in God's name. And I think we honestly have reached a proposal to proceed, which the engineer, with one exception, the engineer gave us a proposal of $107,000 to complete the project, which was, we figured, $100,000, with a couple additions that we're going to have to make, minor additions in my opinion, than what we were thought that we were going to have to do. Bob and I and the engineer, I think, are guessing $125,000, but we're going to get a new engineering update and go from there. But we believe we've crossed all hurdles at this particular point in time. So provided that we continue with the funds, we should be able to get this project off the ground and running.
Yeah, the FRA has to sign off on the proposal. Once they do, and Public Works implements the design features, which to me don't look significant, we will have to do a bid for widening some sections of road. Apparently, our roads are bare minimum width right now, according to the MSTD standards. If you had 8 inches of barrier in the middle, you gotta add 8 inches to a side of the road. So we gotta make these roads 8 inches wider, which is kind of goofy.
We did not go into this meeting very optimistic, according to our engineer, HR Green, Scott Beecher, based upon some conversations that he had, but the Illinois Commerce Commission representative from there basically agreed with some of our proposals, our objections, or our comments, and basically we went through that meeting with really no pain whatsoever.
We will have to install a barrier curb around this gate that's too close to the road. That was our settlement. It's a lot cheaper to put in 10 to 12 feet of barrier curb than it is to move that gate. So that was the consolation.
Like a gas curb? To keep some.
Curb and gutter, just to
Curb and
block
gutter.
somebody from it.
Yeah, I call it a barrier curb, but it's actually the 6-inch rise, like you have it by
Sure.
McDonald's. Yeah.
And they were originally, we thought they were talking about a lot of curb and gutter, and it's not, it's only like 10 feet.
10 to 12.
10 feet. So we.
So we'll
said,
probably do that when we do the rest of the curb work in town. Just go there and pour that quick, and then we have to widen some roads, that we may have to bid out, the widening of these roads, because you gotta dig down. We talked about possibly, if we have to bid this out, and we have to get the permit from the railroad and have a flagger out there. Church Road approaches are so bad, we go ahead and do the Church Road approaches while we're at it. That 50 foot in the railroad right away that we never do because everyone's afraid of the railroad, that probably should be done. They agreed, and they said that we could do it as part of that overall permit, but that's gonna be above our project budget. But we might as well do it as long as we got the permit and the flagger out there, because that Church Road is bad.
What openings is this 100 and approximately 125 cover?
All from
All
Eagle
five.
Lake, Church Road, Hodges, Penfield, Indiana.
Okay. So it's Indiana to Eagle Lake included? Okay.
And then the other thing is, I lost my train of thought. What was I gonna say?
So that includes any of the extra stuff you've gotta do at Church Road?
Yeah, while he's thinking, the big ticket items is relocating the grain elevator road. The stone road, we're gonna flip that to the other side of their sign, which puts them outside the barrier so they can make left and right turns out of there. They did get an exemption, they'll only put 30 foot of barrier in on Penfield Street, so now we're not blocking the access to the many warehouses that are over there. So that was a big plus. Hodges Street, we argued with them, they still want us to widen that a little bit. There is a piece of missing sidewalk over there, we don't know who's paying for that yet, but we filed a complaint that the railroad covered it with stone. But there's a piece of sidewalk on Hodges missing from the funeral home side to the tracks. We went digging in there, maybe Matt, you could probe and see if there is cement that they buried in stone there, we're not really sure.
Couldn't you know?
Yeah.
And along with sidewalks, that was the thing I was gonna say, is never noticed it until we had to go out and verify something for everybody concerned. The sidewalk at the actual railroad crossing, I believe it's in Indiana, and where's the other one, where when they went through and they repaired the crossing,
They didn't do the
they
pads.
didn't do the whole pedestrian crossing, they only did part of it, so one part's wood, one part's concrete. According to our engineer, and they did question it, what the material was, they now have to complete those crossings to concrete. They're gonna be required.
For example, they wanted us to put ped gates in. Each ped gate would have been 40 or 50 grand a piece. Well, if you count them, there's 4 in each crossing, that's a lot of money. And somebody said at the meeting, well, why would they be required to put a ped gate in when the railroad has a piece of missing sidewalk over there in railroad right of way? Where'd that sidewalk go? We didn't know where it went. I'm sure the railroad tore it out or buried it. So it was a lot of give and take back and forth.
We were well prepared going in the meeting, we took pictures of other communities, so on and so forth, to argue, and there really was not any argument whatsoever. We were in total agreement once we got done, so.
And I have full support, the ICC really came to bat for us, the Illinois Commerce Commission on this. They acted as a mediator, and they actually favored with the village quite a bit.
So we'll keep you informed. Please, the intergovernmental meeting is April 29th, 7 PM at the Washington Township, please be there. Is there any old business to come before the board? Any new business to come before the board? I ask to entertain a motion to enter an executive session to discuss.
Yeah, under discussion of that motion.
Do we make a motion first?
Okay.
Executive session to discuss the hiring of personnel.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second.
Under discussion, if it's okay with the chairman and the president, can Mr. Terry join us in that executive session?
I had planned that.
Okay.
So. Roll call.
Kraus,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Basil,
Yes.
Missouri.
Yes.
Hey, everybody.